let's start with ladies first. Let's start with Miss Teddy. Teddy, you're welcome. And let's go to General D. And of course, Mr. Joel. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to the Dan and Mwaka Show. And I'm very privileged for those who have come here for the first time. And I know your expectation was very high. I hope it has not gone down because the minister is not here. Yeah? Yeah, of course we'll still come back. It's good that also you have seen the venue where we do our shows. And yeah, we believe every Tuesday you'll be showing up here as well. So we'll be discussing the role of the youth in advancing positive change. We know young people plays a very key role in the development of any country. And given the fact that we are over 72%, we play a big role to ensure that we advance positive change in our societies, in our families, and in the country as well. Without talking much, I'll let General D have this microphone. Yeah, I'll pretend like I just know the name General D. I want him to introduce himself fully. So you're welcome, sir.
All right, thank you. For those of you who do not know me, including you, yeah, just kidding. My name is Dwot Dengajan. I'm a lawyer by profession. I also happen to be a teacher. I'm a poet, and a lot of other things that I do on the side. And I'm very enthusiastic youth advocate, and which I believe is why I'm here today.
Yes, thank you very much for turning up. Yes.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Aweye Teddy Onam. I'm a communication specialist. Nothing much about me. Thank you.
All right, let's go to Mr. Joel.
All right, thank you. For those who does not know me, my name is Joel Losuk Nelson. I am an economist as well as a hotelier by profession. I am one of the active youth also in Central Equatorial State, and my pleasure to be here.
Thank you. We want the title, not just active. I believe you're holding an office in Central Equatorial State.
Well, I think to be honest, I was once in the youth union, and before that, and then some 2 years back, I shifted from the youth union to a political party. So currently I am the Secretary of Political Affairs in SPLM Youth League in Central Equatoria. That's my position.
All right, thank you. I thought maybe you were scared of mentioning SPLM.
I am proud and, and active of it.
Yeah, this is what I want to hear. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming up. And of course, I said before that we'll be discussing about the role of the youth in advancing positive change. And I'll go to Mr. Dwot, well known as General D. You have been advocating so much on youth issues, and you have been a very strong anti-feminist. I don't want to say that. I had some of your views on that. We'll just go straight and say, what do you think the ideas that the young people of this country can have or can practice to ensure that we advance a positive change? Yes.
All right, thank you for the question. The ideas that the youth can adopt to drive positive change, I think it comes back to the question of what change do we want first as young people?
Yeah.
Because often we've answered the question of what can youth do? And we list a number of them, but the question is, what is the impact of these activities that the youth will engage in? And we have to sit back again as a nation and as young people. Coming up with 72% in numbers, it's both ways, what I call a double sword. It can be harmful if we don't know our purpose, and it can be a blessing if we know what our purpose is. And number one, we have to identify our role in building the nation. How can we positively contribute as young people in the development of the nation. And in developing the nation, what are these characteristics, or what are these features or elements that lead to a national growth? And one of them being the economy, the economic sector. If young people are in the economic sector, the country will grow. At the educational sector, and I think there is a famous quote by Mandela that if you want to destroy any nation, start with its education system. We have to develop that. As young people also, our social relations, how do we relate? If you look at the fragmentation of the nation into states, into counties, it's so much so that we hardly identify as South Sudanese first. Young people now have been divided along border lines and tribal lines and all that. So as young people, to reach a point where we are saying that we are positively contributing to the national growth, we have to define our purpose first. Yeah. And I think our purpose goes into number one in all things, education itself. I said this once in a forum, and I'll repeat it here, that we have so many South Sudanese born young people who are not South Sudanese. We are foreigners in a country that we claim to be ours. We do not know how our country is functioning. What is our system? What do our laws say? So as young people, to contribute to positive development of the nation, we must first educate ourselves. And if we are educated, we must educate those who are coming behind us. This is our first purpose, education. We adopt that, we change the country positively. And education itself is not just about literacy, learning how to write and read. It's bigger than that. Internalizing, developing the sense of nationalism, patriotism, because I believe these are some of the key ingredients that are missing in our national development, either at our level as young people or even at the level of the elderly people. We are not patriotic enough. If anything is to happen today, all of us would abandon this country, but none would sit behind and make it. To be brief again, economy. If you have knowledge but you're hungry, you'll not develop. If you have wealth which you cannot use, you will go hungry. So our wealth creation must be in line with our patriotic duties. And you've seen young people, whether at the organizations, non-profit organizations, the NGOs, or in the government sector, young people who are even below the age of 30 at times, they are engaging in corruption, they are engaging in smuggling, in embezzlement of funds. In the economic sector, how do we grow when we are not investing money in there? You find young people who are earning money, let's say in organizations you earn good amount of dollars, you prefer going outside to have leisure, but you're not thinking of investing in the country. Whether it is our fear of insecurity or our lack of trust in the growth of our businesses here, the answers are so many. But the bottom line is, we lose if we don't get into the economic sector. All of us have to practice a sort of business. And this is why you see, today if the water tankers make a strike, it's a war in the whole of Juba. How is it that a country depends on its own water in the hands of foreigners? What are we doing as young people? Can we form circles? Can we form groups? These sunduks that women are doing, can we also have those things so that we can contribute in the economic sector? The political engagement also has to be there, because whether it is the education or anything, for a nation to develop, young people must be within its political system. I think we've seen across the world, starting with Kenya here. Their president now, William Ruto, was a young person who joined politics at a young age. Look at where he is, plus many other government officials in that country. As young people here, why are we running away from politics? Because we have to go on all fronts. It's not, the military will tell you that you don't win war on one front. You have to go this way, go that way, apply different tactics. As young people, we have to go on all tactics. Education, economics, politics.
All right, thank you very much. And I just want to also, you talk of young people who want to have fun outside. People are buying houses outside. But also, I think, don't you think we are copying this from our leaders? Most of our leaders right now who are in positions right now as we speak, most of them have their homes. They have homes almost in many countries. I know some of the politicians that have homes in Kampala, they have in Nairobi, in Australia, in the US. Don't you think these young people are copying this kind of lifestyle from the leaders?
I had a teacher back in high school, and he would say, "Do as I say, not as I do." But then you'll find him also drinking.
Yes.
And then he'll be like, "But sir, now do I do also what you're doing, or do I do what you're saying?"
Yeah.
Like, no, I said, "Do as I say." But then again, you'll find him in another forum where he's saying he's having fun. So, do I also have fun as you're saying? And then he'll be like, "No, do what is right."
Yeah.
And I think this is where most of young people are lacking.
Mm-hmm.
We want to copy. But then we are not products of our parents.
Yeah.
We are not products of our leaders. We are not products of our elders. We are beings that are independent in mind, in thoughts. We acquired education, and we have the ability to discern their actions.
Yeah.
And I think we ought to take responsibility as young people from this point. Whatsoever that is negative, let's not copy it. But that which is positive, let us copy it and let us learn. Like I mentioned earlier, other countries. A few years ago, you learned about the South African-Nigerian conflict, about the xenophobic attack.
Yeah.
And why were they complaining? It's because the Nigerians would go, work, and then go back to their home and develop it.
Yeah.
And many other countries are doing it, even the foreigners that we have here today. So as young people, why don't we learn from our peers in other countries?
Yeah.
Where if we can work here and build our nation, let's go work out and come back and build the nation.
All right, thank you. The main thing is we have to do the right thing.
Exactly.
Yes, let me go to Mr. Joel. Youth Enterprise Development Fund was a very hopeful promise to engage youth in economic empowerment activities. And it was meant to empower young people, it would create economic empowerment for the youth, it would create opportunities for young people. Now the tone has gone down on the Youth Enterprise Development Fund. Do you think there is still the hope that Youth Enterprise Development Fund will come into effect?
Thank you for your question, Daniel. As my brother just mentioned, one of the most important things in leading the youth to positive change in society is education and the economy. And if we talk about economy, of course, the issue of entrepreneurship is not an exception to that. It will definitely become part of the economy. The issue of this fund, it has been discussed in so many platforms, in so many occasions. Now that the funds could not reach, now the question that we'll ask ourselves as a young people is that, can we still dwell ourselves in waiting for those funds, or we find another option to make the change that we think is necessary for us as a young people? To be honest with you, the issue of this fund is something that has been already discussed and been put in the agreement, if you all follow about this. And I wish the Minister of Youth could have been here.
Yeah.
I think this could be one of the major discussion, because all of us love to know about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now, what I can say so far is that as a young people with fresh perspective, innovative ideas, who strive for the better of this country, we should not be limiting ourselves into the funds that has been subjected into the agreement. Of course, we will still follow up where these funds are and what's the status. But of course, we have to do what is possible within our means to ensure that we get involved in the entrepreneurship scene, we get involved in the economic sector, and we see the change that we think is good for this country as a young people.
And also, young people want people want accountability. the money was promised, and I think $1 per barrel was said to be going to the Enterprise Development Fund. Is somebody eating that money, or the money is not coming? So this is something that if the minister was here, I'm not saying you should answer that. Maybe you interact with the minister, you must have been knowing some of these information as well. Yeah, but I think somebody somewhere might be eating our money, because it was something that it's in the agreement. They said $1 per barrel. And how many barrels of crude oil goes per day? Yeah, a lot. So if this was implemented, I think young people will be able to get these resources and they build themselves economically, create job opportunities. Now let's go to my sister Teddy. Young ladies have always said women have not been given fair opportunity, fair chance to compete with men. That has been the complaint always. So with the words, the famous saying by one of the greatest US presidents that ask not what your government can do for you, but what you can do for your government. Let's say, what can our women, apart from complaining that we're not giving them the opportunities, what are they doing to ensure that they grab the opportunities men are taking away from them?
Ladies, is it true? Well, somewhere, somehow, I can agree, because it comes back to our culture. You know, in our country, most of our communities don't support women working, which hinders them from adapting to the culture, to the developing of the country. Some cultures, but let me say 50%, it's 50-50. You find in other cultures, ladies are being given the chance. But to me, it depends on the personality that you are. If you're a determined person, you go to school, you finish school, you're a graduate, who will hinder you from working? Nobody, right?
Your husband might say, I don't want you to work.
Unless he's the one who took me through school. If he took me through school, I'll be like, okay, sweetheart, if you say so, your money is enough, let me sit. Bring the money, we eat. But if it is my parents who took me to school, and it is love that brought me from my father's house to your house, sweetheart, you can't stop me from working. Men, are we together? Thank you.
Men, are we together? I want another follow-up question. Let's talk of political space. Ladies are scared of going to politics. What are the hindrances? What is stopping young ladies from joining political parties and becoming part of the system as well?
I'm a victim.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
In my high school, I've been a prefect. At the university, I've been in the guild office, the university level. I even managed to be the deputy prime minister in my university. So there you can practice leadership and you gain all the knowledge, but when you come back home, the first people to discourage you, it's the community. You're going for leadership. Who do you think you are? And what's this? I'm from a marginalized community whereby we are not even known. Trust me, if by raise of hand I ask you, how many people know Peri tribe? Are very few. Few, unless you're from Eastern Equatoria.
No, but it's not from Eastern Equatoria.
By show of hands, unless you're from Eastern Equatoria. So, people.
So you're not marginalized.
I'm just sincere here.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So there's that kind of negativity from the community. I tried when I came. I tried so much to enter into politics. I even decided to get a national SPLM membership card. Sir, I have it.
This is one of your comrades.
So I can't say it's a bad thing, and it's really true we are being hindered, one way or the other. So, as steady, I'm feeling scared. Where will I start from? These are the people who have been fighting in the bush for over how many years, I don't know. And I'm just a fresh graduate of 2022, coming to compete with others. Where am I going to start from? We look at Nunu Kumba. I'll be like, I want to be like her. But what does it take me to be Nunu Kumba? You get? Because we are not being given that. Outside there, we have been doing leadership. But leadership of South Sudan is very different. Do you blame me? Where do I start from? I was a child born in a camp, grew up in a camp, studied outside South Sudan, coming to South Sudan. I don't know South Sudanese politics, where to start from, who to seek help from. So it's really, really hindering us and it's putting us backward. There are a lot of young women there who really want to be leaders of South Sudan, but where to go about it, it's the problem.
You're in a political party. I think you can answer some of her questions.
Thank you, Teddy. I think Teddy has tried to be very honest.
Where can they start from?
Yes. First, let me start with the politics. Politics determines our way of living. Whether we like it or not, you will agree with me in one way or the other. Without the politics, we will not have such platform. And the politics that we always talk about is that it starts right from where you came from. Even from your house, there is a possibility somewhere that you're exercising politics to control your family, your integrity, your territorial, whatever it is. One of the questions that I think I like it is that why is it that more our ladies are not getting involved into politics? And some of the answers has been mentioned by my sister here, Teddy. The truth is that to start, let me begin to start so that they can get to know. Politics is a choice, and to be a politician, one will first decide to be a member of a certain political party. There is no government that have been run without the political party. And when it came to the political party, you have your right to make your own choice where you think you can be. Like, for example, you can choose to be with me in the SPLM, and you will start from there.
It's lobbying, eh?
Okay, now the issue here is not that things are difficult, but it remains on how you want it to be. If you choose to be in a politics, join the party, participate with the party activities, through your party, you will get to the level that you wish to be. And of course, she has mentioned that she has been in the leadership of the student youth league or something like that. That's already a leadership, just like in the party also. So you can start from there and you move on and you will achieve whatever you think you want to achieve. So what I can advise you is that don't be shy, don't be fearful, join the party and move with the people together.
Yeah, and I think I think Nono started from somewhere. I think she started when time was so rough. At least for us now, we have space like this. We can speak. We have social media. We can, our views can go wide. But during the liberation time, I think it was very hard for them to start. I think we should not limit ourselves. But let's go to our Molona. Young people are complaining a lot. We are complaining each and every time. There's appointment, young people are not in. They say they keep on recycling the liberators. They keep on recycling them. And their decisions affect us, the young people. And for us, we are quiet. We say, no, our time will come. Up to the extent when we ask, they say, you're the future of tomorrow. So, as young people, what are we not doing right to ensure that we also reclaim or claim our space in the political environment?
I think that's a good one. The recycling of the liberators.
Yeah.
And this I will first touch a bit about the point on the engagement of women in politics, because it directly answers the question that you've just asked. If you look at politics, it's usually called a game. for a reason.
Yeah.
And in every game, there are skills that you have to learn and perfect. There are rules that you have to abide by. And then there is a target. And for you to win, you need team members, which is where the political parties come in. And it is a lot of work. Just like a game of football where you have to keep running. And sometimes you have to fall and bruise yourself. This is the same nature with politics. And I think it's a hard business. And this is why most of our women do not engage in it. Because it involves making late night calls, ensuring that you're not decreed out at 7 p.m., and following up the next evening.
Yeah.
There is no sleeping in politics. Moving from house to house, that's a lot of work for women. And this is why most of them would prefer to sit back. They want the 35 affirmative or 45 affirmative. They prefer affirmatives. Now, as young people, are we beginning to adopt that policy? Of course we are. And this is why when the constitutional making process was kicking off, the discussions around the youth position is that there should be a percentage allocated. I remember there was a validation workshop conducted by UNDP where young people were saying, in the new constitution, we want to see 20% affirmative action for youth. Now, why are we reducing ourselves to that level? Are we willing to play politics? If we are willing to play politics, let us align ourselves to parties. If you look at the appearance of John Garang in the history of the Sudan and South Sudan, it was at the age of 37 where he wrote a letter to Joseph Lago before the signing of the Addis Ababa Peace Agreement. At 37 years, he was very vocal. If you look at people like our president, he joined the movement at about 33 years of age.
Yeah.
Now, what are we doing at our level with those years? We want to sit behind.
We are busy. They say we are busy in the clubs.
Which could be true. So I think the reason why they are recycling the old people is because the young people have not shown that they are capable of this. And I usually say nothing will be handed to you in a silver platter. Unless an affirmative action is concerned. And in which case, even the 20% that we are advocating for will fall in the hands of those who will push themselves to these political parties, align themselves to these leaders. Now, as young people, if we don't want them to be recycled, we must engage ourselves in politics, start lobbying as soon as now, but it is not lobbying amongst ourselves. Coming to talk to you, writing long articles on Facebook, that is not politics. Politics is going to the SPLM Youth League. Have friends there, let them advocate for you, go to the secretariat if you're a member of your political parties and squeeze yourself there. This is now where we see young people like the Minister of Youth coming through. Paulino Lokudu coming in as the Deputy Governor. These are young people who are pushing themselves. But the rest of us who are waiting for the recycling to be over, maybe the trash bin to be introduced, we will wait a long time.
It will be too late.
It will be.
And the decisions will really affect us.
They are.
Yeah.
They are. Because they don't resonate with our affairs.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think young people the convention need to shift from just being active with social media to real action.
Exactly.
Someone told me, as the youth, okay, the person was talking about our region. I don't want to go tribal, but the person was talking about our region. And it was saying, and that was a bitter truth. It was like, you Equatorians, you leave work at 5, you rush home. But some of us, we leave home at 5, we go to Pyramid, we go to Palm Africa, we go to Cairo Hotel, we go to Regency. Why do you think we are there? They are lobbying. Some of these ministers are in those hotels. You go and sit until 1. For you, you're busy sleeping and bar, monoki drinking. Somebody's deciding your future in a hotel, deciding how the country should go, but you're busy enjoying. So I'm not saying enjoyment is bad, but I think sometimes we need to be very focused. Lobbying is very important. One of the vice presidents I was having a conversation with and told me clearly that you don't take risk. Young people don't take risk. Look at the young people that took risk during this fighting. The youth in SPLM-IO who really stood with Dr. Riek Machar, where are they now? They are ministers, right? True. Yeah, most of them are ministers, they are holding key positions. And those that stood with SPLM, where are they? They are being rewarded. So it's taking risk. You never know that people are thinking, okay, maybe if I go to SPLM-IO, nothing will work completely. But things work. Or they'll say, if I stick with SPLM, nothing might work for SPLM. But at the end, all of them are enjoying. So sometimes I think we need to take risk as young people.
I think there was a bit of truth in what that person said, only that it was an inverted truth. Why I say so is because if you look at the government, whether at the state levels or at the national level, majority of the youth we have, 70% in all honesty, of the youth that are in the government are from Equatoria.
Okay.
Yeah. If you look at the, let's say for example, Central Equatoria or Eastern Equatoria, most of these governments are filled with young people.
Yeah.
Many of them being ministers, many of them being state members of parliament. Compared to their counterparts in Barakazal and in Upper Nile.
But they're saying these ones who are in government in Equatoria, these are just that or rubber stamp. They're not the choice of the people. They just say, you sit here, and they will force you, no, sit here. I don't know, but this is what young people say.
But you see, that is when they miss it. Because before I put my rubber stamp on that paper, I will put a light comment there. And probably he will understand what I'm saying. He might not implement it in that order, but he will think about it in the next activity. Compared to the other counterparts, many of them are lobbying, which is true. They are in hotels, lobbying day and night, but to do what? Run county leagues, football competitions, run community events,
wrestling competition.
It is true. They are not sleeping. But what are they doing? But on the other hand, you have young people from Equatoria, and I admire them a lot. They take their work passionately. Even if somebody is working for a non-governmental organization, you'd still find that they are involved in the affairs of the community on a positive note. Not to organize some community ABCD. No, they are directly involved. And this is why you are seeing young people like Lokodo coming in as a deputy governor. Try that in some states. Unless there is something else involved. we know, we can name those governors. The ultimate, like you have said, is risks. Are we willing to take risks? If you look at young people like Diné, former governor of Jonglei State, guy left America, came to South Sudan. That was huge risk. Was it rewarding? Yes. Look at the deputy governor back then of Jonglei State still. Look at somebody like Aluel Messi, the current acting governor of Warab. Pure risk from football to... I mean, in this country, there is nothing that is impossible. Nothing is impossible. We have to risk. We have to risk.
So I think I'll open the floor later for comments and some few. We are just interacting. And I want you to have, we are here as young people and we are having very honest opinions. We advise ourselves because we are seeing how can we reclaim the space. We don't want to, and I always say, let's encourage such conversations so that we don't go violent. You see, we speak our mind. We see how can we engage the government? How can we engage our elders and say, you know what, please, how can we accommodate young people in the government as well? Again, most young people, we are too radical. Very radical. We are in WhatsApp groups. Sometimes you see what people wrote and they write and you get surprised. And somebody once said, if you keep writing such things, trust me, nobody will step down for you because you're threatening the leadership that you must step down. Again, we have to negotiate with the leadership to say, you know what, give us our space, give us our 20, 30 or 40%. So that we can also play a crucial role in the government. So we will take some few comments and let it be brief on how can we as young people be the agent of positive change. How can we change our communities? And we'll emphasize on leadership because if you're in a position of leadership, position of power, you'll be able to effect change positively in your society. So yeah, I have my. You mentioned your name, then you can give your comments or question.
By the name Sarafina, I'm a student, not working. Any connection, it's allowed, it's welcome. Yeah, okay. To start with, actually, I would like to say, okay, I will just like to be brief answering some of the questions. There is something about politics that I've been hearing, you know, people talking about it widely, and I feel like I should also. Yeah, the thing is, most of us, it's not that we want to join politics as women, or like most of us, if not all of us, we are just worried to see corruption end when we have not benefit from it. I think that's the thing. There is no one who wants to be in the government or who wants to be in politics. We just need something out of it, and at the end of the day, we part ways. That's how I see it.
I'm called Darius. I'm a student. I'm a student. I don't work, but I do have some hustles out there that I do. Okay, let me begin like with the topic of discussions, like what youth can do to cause a positive change in the country, right? Like he said, first of all, the topic is quite huge. Like youth can do things like economically, politically, even in the educational sector or socially. There are a lot of things people can do. But let me begin with politics, first of all, because politics determines most of these other things. Politics determines the economy, politics determines the education sector, and determines a lot of things. Like right now, I think South Sudan is not yet ready for the youth to cause a positive change. A lot of youth are willing to have an influence in the politics of the country and to change the policies so that could favor the youth and cause a development and also cause a positive change in the country. But the country itself is not ready, because if you look at the political system of South Sudan, it's all based on lobbying. So even if you get a chance as a youth and go into the political arena, it will be difficult for you to cause a change, a positive change in the country. What you may end up causing is even a negative change, because like as you can see, like for example, we have our current Deputy Governor of Central Equatoria, Paulino Lugudu. He was recently, previously he was the Information Minister of Central Equatoria State. He came out with some youthful policies, tried to push them, but he realized later that there are people on top, part of the liberators, who made it so difficult for him to cause a positive change. Like he was so limited. There are also like the former governor of Jonglei State, Dinaya Chagor. He also had a lot of, let me say, positive things he wanted to do for his state. But what happened? He has to work according to the system of the political party, which is headed by the liberators, who have like the old system of governance. They do not know. I don't know that they do not know, or like they're just not ready. I think they know, but maybe they're not ready. They're not ready to go with the systems that the youth need. But that's what is not ready. What maybe we can do, what we can do as youth, is like to prepare the country, like to force the country to get ready for us, to force the country to get ready for us. Like for example, our political system here, we work on decrees, right? Like if you're appointed as a leader, what are you going to do? You're going to serve the interests of your appointing authority, not the interests of the society. And sometimes those interests are not positive to the youth and the country at large. So maybe what we can do is like to push. What we can do right now is to push the country to be ready for the youth to cause a positive change. I think this was how the topic was supposed to be. What can youth do to push the country to be ready for a positive change? to be ready for a positive change by them. But then besides politics, we can also, like they said earlier on, there are many ways we can cause a positive change. Like we saw then, we can cause a positive change through sports, through entrepreneurship, through music, and all that. But there's also a lot of limitations to it, because politics is the grandfather of all these things. Yeah. So basically the country is not ready. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Yes.
Okay, thanks for the chance. I'm Madeline Martin. First time coming to attend the show, a pleasure. I want to comment on this interesting topic. of how can we impact a positive change in our growing country. You know, South Sudan is a developing country, and in the process of development, there is a lot need to be taken. And in this process, you know, when you need a change, it takes time. It takes really a good quality time that we should invest in that. So particularly, I'm going to talk about like we, the youths, more especially, you know, after studying college, and you know you are in expectance of that, you need to have a job, and you may apply to many places, and you may not have the opportunity because, you know, like a lot of adverts come out, but you know, someone will say we need 3 years experience, 4 years experience. This is really affecting the young youths of this nation, because I'm a fresh graduate from university. How do you expect me to have experience? So it is a kind of a hinder that really affects us so much. So at the other side, I may say that if you really apply and you're not accepted, don't go and sit at home and just be idle like that. Someone said we are lazy. We are really lazy. Let me just be sincere, is that you see a lot of people, genetic people, seated by the roadside talking nonsense, having fun on the tea places, rather than investing on that energy you have at that young age. But you're just wasting it on something which is not beneficial. So at least I may say that let me say, we are human beings and we are young people who have the think. You know, for me, I'm a person who, like, I did a training where after the training, I got a hustle. After the hustle is that, you know, we want to start big. This is I think the mentality we have. We want to start something big, but, you know, starting big is not good for you. If you start big and you start falling from there, our madam said the sound is so bad. You know, the sound is so bad from there. So what I'm trying to say that we as young youths, we should invest in something. Start small. You know, start small and it will grow into a bigger thing. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Yeah, let's have this too. Then we come and okay. So let's be brief so everyone can speak. Then we can give a gentleman.
Thank you very much. My name is called Nelson Mandela Emmanuel. I'm an entrepreneur. I like these discussions. It's more passionate and it talks about everything about us. The one thing I will first start from here. There was a moment we are having MTN hackathon presentation. Then we started a discussion with one of the presenters of Advanced Youth Radio. The guy was like, you know, us in this country, the problems that we have is the government. The government is not giving us opportunities. The government is not giving us avenues. Then I told him, my friend, it's not all about the government. You don't need to say the government does not give you everything. Like, for example, you are working in Advanced Youth Radio. You have the platform that you can influence something. But why do you have to blame the government? The only thing I can say as a young man or as a youth of this country, the first thing is by finding a philosophy, finding an idea, an ideology that you wanted to change. Because when you find a philosophy, like most of the times I'll sit down and start thinking, what do South Sudanese believe in? What is our ideology? What is our philosophy? We may look like countries like Brazil, they say football, they believe money. We look at Japan, the technology. Then we look at South Sudan, what is our philosophy? What do we believe in? Because the moment there's a young man, you stand up and you sit and then write your personal mission statement, and then you have your idea, have your philosophy of how you're going to be. You have the end in mind. You have something where you're going to end in mind. Let me give a case study of this young man, Degree. When this guy completed his trainings and he came to Juba, he was not having all these gadgets that he's using right now. He just came and he trying to start from somewhere, try to somewhere. But who knows that right now, his pictures and these images he's sending and he's teaching a lot of people outside there, you see. And he's going to the most dangerous places in the night. He takes the videos and he takes all these things, but he already knows where he's going. His mindset, he has set his mind to somewhere. He doesn't mingle with anything that comes on his way. You see, it is the ideology that you have in your mind. It is your philosophy that you set in. Where am I going? What do I want? And where am I going to end? Because the time you're coming to say the government, you first ask yourself, what have you done to the government? I like that saying that American president encourages me most of the times. Before even I start complaining where I work or something that I do, I'll start asking myself, what did I do positive to change the thing that I'm complaining about? The reason why I became an entrepreneur, I left my job because my colleague was insulted by my boss. Then I looked at it, I was like, okay, this is not right. So myself, I decided to resign. But it's not me, because I was having the privileges, I was having the opportunities, I was getting what I wanted in the employment. But when I looked at a fellow South Sudanese being assaulted, I was like, no, it's not right. So what I did was, how can I move out from this employment? Not scaling out employment in my life, but I create a free zone of employment. I employ some South Sudanese. While I go and look for a job, I come and supervise them. They are working in a decent, conducive environment where you make your own policies, you make your own ideas. You see, when you have this thing in your mind and you set yourself and you put straight, then you find you find where you're going, and you start learning from great people. Gerald D, I don't know much about you, but I had some story where you started from. It was so inspiring. Yeah. So until you reach where you're going, you started from somewhere. So now the big vision is there. You have the end in mind. You want to become the Lord or the Guru of Juba, but you start from small. As our sister's place, you start small. You don't need to start like Trinity, and you're falling slowly. You see that?
All right.
Are we really not lazy? Of course, it's not being generic in a sense. But let's be very honest. Today, if you go to any manual casual work here, it might have improved, but almost bigger percentage of the casual works are being done by foreigners. We get chapati for breakfast here, but 80%, it's clear that some few of us are not getting into that process. But still, it's a big thing, and that brings the question of how do we then transform? How do we make it attractive? Again, it's not so much of complaining, and sometimes I think maybe for the government teams, it's important that we don't look at the government like always about appointments. Sometimes let's leave it aside. Of course, you have a role to play, and I think that's not the discussion for today, in terms of your role as a government, but the role should be so much of ourselves. How do we, we don't have a clear direction where we want to go. And again, I really don't buy that it's the government that has to give us the direction. The government provides policies, guidelines, framework. Who informs the government? It is us. And unless we're able to gather together like this and very authentically agree and knowing realistically, again, realizing ourselves, not just saying, I want to be this and thinking like theoretical in a class or dreaming, but being very practical in our context here. We have, for example, we have animals that are more than a human population in this country. I keep animals as well. As a youth, what do we need to do? And that's where sometimes innovation comes in. There's opportunity for market and many things around. I think for me, my challenge to you and many others, especially the government, is how do we redefine and identify the vision that we need as the youth together to realize ourselves. Otherwise, we'll be used as somebody mentioned here. Today, if I can come and convince you, like, guys, I think this is the best way to go, let's go revolt or do anything else. As long as they believe in that vision, they will come. And at the end of the day, they will all just be used and end up there. Unless somebody comes openly and really, like, within ourselves realize very practical, tangible things. Not just thinking like going to the offices. But there are a lot of work that we could do. And I think for me, we take it too high that the discussion takes so far, and we don't connect from how do we take that step there. I would have loved to see today's discussion here, very actionable points like, okay, these are the discussions. Step one, how do we then take this forward? Who is going to help us in this? We talk about the mentorship, it ends here. Where do we need a mentorship? So we talked about experience. I work in the humanitarian field, and I'll be very honest to you. You don't have experience, we kick you off. You don't get the job because you are not there for training. But then where is the training ground? Those are questions that somebody needs to mentor. Somebody needs to provide those options. He's a medic there. How do we learn from him as those who are in the field? There are people who may be very practical expertise in business. We don't need to just look for jobs. Somebody could be there in the business. Sometimes we also have a mentality of like, we only believe things from outside are much better. We also ignore ourselves here. When can we have people who have gone through our journeys here sit up and say, guys, this is the journey we have walked, but also not talking about it, but actually doing it, so that then we can have the government like, this is where we need your support. I think the jobs will come, the employment will come. It takes gradual time. I don't believe like anywhere, and nobody can tell us here. I think we are too expectant on the government. We are only 11 years old or 13 or whatever it is. If you look at the countries we compare ourselves with, for example, most of us grew outside these countries. Those countries took over decades to be able to get where they are. It's not a miracle that today we shall jump over and just want to be there. Because if we don't set a good foundation, trust me, it's going to collapse. It is going to collapse. And unless we build the right foundation, that foundation starts with ourselves, with our full families. Unless we support ourselves, our families, and we're able to build a good community, we are not going anywhere. This discussion will continue and will just be coming down, come down. Anyway, thank you. Sorry about the long time.
No, that's fine. Thank you so much. And I think I'm interested in the part of agriculture. I think we'll reach out, and coming from a humanitarian background as well, one day we want to find out how you can help. We have a lot of young people here that might need guidance, and mentorship, and all those stuff. So yeah, we'd be happy to reach out to you, and you can as well advise on how we can have actionable discussions, how we can do the follow-up here. I think we have taken enough recommendations, some of the remarks and questions. So there are some questions that were directed to you, General D. So we wanted you to respond to them.
All right, thank you very much. In the interest of time, I'll be brief. And in being brief, there are two comments I'll start with. Number one, there is the issue of corruption she raised earlier, that everybody wants corruption to end after they have eaten. And I would say it's the same thing like matured, if you guys are aware of it. Every senior 4 student wanted mature to end after they have finished. Unlucky for the class of last year, isn't it? So it's the same thing. Corruption will end, but the question is with who? All right? And I think that is the point that defines everything we are discussing today. The point of corruption. And I want us to be honest with ourselves. Even the countries we are comparing ourselves to, they did not grow without the political aspect. It starts with politics, it ends with politics. If young people want to be in the market, the city council coming to knock their doors, those are politicians. The decisions they are implementing are from the politics. And we cannot have young people going into a business without politics having policies that are positive to their growth. We cannot also have young people going to the farms, practicing agriculture, whether livestock or farming, without politics. And why do I say that? For security, you cannot go to the farms unless you're doing for subsistence. If you're doing it at the backyard of your home, well, that is okay. You can do it without the interference of the government. But you cannot go to the outskirts of Juba without looking behind you. How many trucks will you plow the land with while looking at your back? You cannot. The first question is, where will you even get the trucks? I hear now to buy a hoe, you need about 20,000. One hoe. Where will you get that money to buy that? To go and dig with your hands, since we are energetic. It needs government to come in, subsidize, so that everybody can afford one. Isn't it? Now, after you've farmed, you need a market. And where will you get the market if the market is not conducive, if the economy is not stable? You are buying seeds today at 5,000 SSP. Tomorrow, you have to sell goods. The 5 SSP, let's say it was worth, let's say $10. Tomorrow, when you're coming to sell your produce, you want to sell them at 10,000 SSP, which is worth less than $2. Are you not operating at a loss here? You are, isn't it? But who sets these policies? The government, isn't it? Exactly. We want educational reforms to happen so that we have an educational system that meets the needs of the day. But who sets educational system? The government. And let me give you an example. The curriculum we are using today, I said earlier I'm a teacher, isn't it? The curriculum we are using today, which was inaugurated in 2019 by the then Minister Deng Deng Oj, when it was being designed, especially the aspects of civic education, which is citizenship, and the textbook, all the textbooks, the people that worked on those textbooks are the humanitarian. And I like it that you brought it up. The NGO people worked on our textbooks. Go read our books today. Zero. The contents there are shallow. They cannot even meet the needs of our yesterday, let alone the needs of our today and of tomorrow. So if the government is not keen enough to come up with an educational policy that is going to develop the country, how are we going to develop it? Again, the NGO world, if it is not being regulated by the government to meet the needs of the day, like how many years now? Since 2005. We have been in an emergency situation until when? There was a period between 2005 and 2011 that we were not in an emergency situation. What were the NGOs doing? So everybody is failing, but the failure goes back to the government. And this is why I'm saying, for change to happen, we need young people to get into government. I was asked earlier, if we are to get into politics and we don't have money, where shall we start? Politics does not start with money. Politics starts with you. You are the resource. You are the first capital. The question is, what can you offer to that political party? And this is where networking comes. If the SPLM being here today knows that I have a voice that these young people are here can listen to, they'll be able to listen to me. So how do I get this ground now? By attending such forums, building myself in terms of worth, that what I say can be accepted, can be listened to. The moment I have that, the SPLM will provide the funds for me. But then you find, like he said earlier, we have not defined what we want. The other day, Peter Biar was talking about generational change, isn't it? Yes. We need generational change. And he wanted to champion it as an individual. Say he had brought it to SPLM or to SOA or to IO and said, you know, this is the idea you need to preach as a party. And then they would pick it up. Like when you talk about devolution, when you talk about federalism, these are not their ideas, they are ideas of young people, and they are borrowing from them. The question is, what ideas do the young people of today have to offer to the political parties to have them accepted and funded? None. And this is why young people are not into politics. There is also a question, I'm winding up. Yeah. The question of being used, which was said, I think, by Moj Simon, and I like it. I'll refer it back to something that somebody once said, that if you, in politics, it's about being used or using people. And if you look around and you don't find somebody being used, you're the one being used. Okay? And I think this is the case of the young people of today. We are not seeing people who are being used, because we are all being used. You find we are the ones who are press secretaries, we are personal secretaries, we are private secretaries, we are office secretaries, all secretaries in its aspects. We are writing these notes. And I think you've seen cases where even the dates sometimes they don't even align. Grammar itself is a problem. The question is it your uncle who told you not to be writing proper English? He gave you the opportunity. Why didn't you turn it down if you believed that you were not capable? So we have spaces that we are not using, and when we are being used, we say it is a problem. We have to find out who to use. If it is the old people, or the old people will use us. It is about that. And then embezzlement of funds also, it's a good idea. Yeah, I'm not saying you should embezzle, but if you have the capacity to embezzle, why don't you embezzle and and you know, build yourself, because we've seen it happening. And across the world, the problem has always been stated. It is not corruption. The world is developing because of corruption. In South Sudan, we call it corruption. In the Western world, they call it favors. Isn't it? Where you open a company, and then you say, a government tender comes in, like, can you fund this? Give the tender to this company, which belongs to you indirectly. And then you go and do the work. Isn't it? I was being told of a young person the other day who was given $150 for something.
For the website.
Imagine $150. You can't even get that funding in the humanitarian world.
Yeah.
But if that is the case, and let's say the young person got the money, I'm not saying he did, and he got it, build a center, call young people, isn't that positive? So what are we doing with our corruption? Finally, before I hand over to you, the question of experience, I think it was answered in details. And if we can think for ourselves. I think when it comes to experience, whether in the humanitarian world or in the government sector, it comes down again to policies that the government is making. And this is why my interest, I'm not part of any political party, I'm not even in the government. I'm a lawyer, like I said earlier, and I'm practicing privately. But I encourage young people to join politics. Why? Because this is where all the policies come from. If we say today that it is the policy that every international organization, a national organization, will have a spot where they will be having trainees, can that happen? Definitely can, isn't it? And then they will gain experience from there. But our international organizations, our national organizations are operating at their will. No government interference. The moment the government interferes, they bite back. And our old people, they cannot run up and down. This is why we need young people. If the NGO wants to take it this way, we come. If the private sector wants to take it this way, we come in. So for us to control the economy, for us to control our country, to develop, to bring change, to educate our children, have schools, have hospitals where the doctor here can operate, have amenities that we can enjoy like this place, the government has to be willing and has to be capable of providing the necessities to make young people prosper. But the government cannot provide those necessities because they do not know. We as the young people know. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, our time is it's up. Of course, we're supposed to end by 8 sharp. It's already 8. And I just want to say on the issue of mentorship. We do mentorship here. Maybe you have not heard about it. Right now we have students who are learning here, and it's a youth empowerment activity which is being facilitated by USAID, and she's one of the bosses there. One of the models is called Be Your Own Boss, where it's teaching young people how you can be your own boss, how you can start up your own business and advance and employ people and do the rest of the things. So we welcome, and we are ready to welcome another person that can mentor another young person to become a better person in future. Let me give my 2 gentlemen here and a lady here remarks, the last remarks, who will be able to close this discussion. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. I was actually going to talk about that, considering the fact of what she said about mentorship, but you already mentioned that. So let me just give you one of my reasons or aspect of what the youth can do, because this is what I wanted to talk about, but you didn't ask me that question, because this is the main topic that we're here. What is the impact of the youth in the society or in the country? 1, we should have the heart of voluntarism. As a youth, if you want to help your country, do voluntary work. Why do I say that? Let me give a personal experience. I graduated in 2022. Since then, I came to South Sudan. I don't know anything. I don't know anywhere. My work is just to be on my phone and on my laptop. There's Wi-Fi at home. Apply for jobs. At the end of the day, I get nothing. Not even an interview. I could Google on how to write a CV. I changed my CV upside down. Nothing. At the end of the day, they advised me, you did a wrong course. Mass communication. No. It's a wrong course. So, I decided to stay. One day, I got a call from Waka here. Teddy, are you free? Because if there is any kind of voluntary work, he has a talk show outside place, he can call us, we go and, do ushering, we help in other things. So he gave me a call. There is some voluntary work, but there's going to be a placement exercise. It's like a test or like an interview. Are you ready? I was like, Maka, why not? The next day, he called me, come. We went to EDC. We did a placement test with some of my colleagues. We have Primo here, we have her here, we have Augustine here. We took ourselves. We know we are not going for a job. We are going for voluntary work. But that voluntary work, we were being interviewed. The kind of questions we got there, basic mathematics, basic English, just to get our understanding. After 2 days, we were called. You qualify. Come the next day. We were trained for 10 days. After the training, we were told this is what you are going to do. First is personal development. We are going to deal with the youth who are dropped out from school. USAID said they're tired of South Sudanese. Every time they help us, they give us money, they give us food, they give us clothing. At the end of the day, they're not seeing changes in us. So this is the project they came with, to change our mindset, to be our own boss, to start something small, as she said. By the way, she's one of the participants from the USAID Youth Empowerment Activity. So start small and grow big. Personal development, communication skills, there's leadership, there's finding work and keeping work, because not everybody who finds work can keep that work, right? And then there's be your own boss. So if you can imagine, we went there, it's a voluntary work. At the end of the day, they'll be like, okay, South Sudan is a tough country, there's economy. What you're going to do is you're going to give a stipend of this amount. Is it okay? I believe some people dropped out because of the amount. Me, I'm a graduate. Why would I go with $40? What can it do for me? Yet, in your MOU, it says it's a voluntary work. Okay? At the end of the day, we took the chance. Before I could even finish my training, the dedication, the time management, the understanding of the project, the internship that I've been looking for, trust me, I never applied for any job opportunities since I came to South Sudan. I was only applying for internship because I want to mentor myself before getting a job. But with that 2 years of application, I've never got any internship opportunities. But me going as a volunteer to train my fellow youth who had dropped out of school, I was given an opportunity to do an internship from nowhere. So this is voluntary work that took me there. So as a youth, learn how to be patriotic. Do something for your country. Don't do something for yourself. It can lead you somewhere. This is one thing I can say. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. I really like all the comments that has been put forward by all the audience. It is really very amazing. And one of the things that I would like just to say is that one of the members said that politics needs money. And yes, it can be true, but sometimes not true. Why I'm saying this, because I just wanted to speak on the perspective of the youth. And I just recall my brother here has mentioned that you are the capital yourself. What does it mean? For example, as the SPLM party, we had a wing which is called Youth League. This Youth League is already an empowerment by itself. When you're in a Youth League, you're given that platform to grow. Empowerment not necessarily mean that the government should give us money. Even if the government came around and give us thousands of dollars, I believe without a concrete reasons of having this money, we will surely lose everything. Why I'm saying that you are the capital by yourself. Decide for yourself, join any political party. I believe most of the political parties, they have a youth wings where the youth will have platform to grow, they will have platform to express themselves, and they grow into leadership. So this is how we should actually look at the thing. The other thing that I also wanted to mention here is that most of our youth, we are on hurry. Once we have completed from wherever university we are in, what will always come to our mind is that I wanted to be a minister, I wanted to be this, I wanted to be this, without taking any step like how these will become ministers. So what I would like to recommend here is that as a young person, once you have completed your studies, don't be too much proud of it. Join the voluntary work, as my sister Tidia just mentioned. In fact, I have a similar story like what you just mentioned, but I think because of the time factor, I'm not going to tell it in details. But the next forum, I may be able to express it, and not just to tell you, but also to inspire others. The other thing that one member has mentioned here is about the empowerment. As we mentioned earlier, empowerment, you must start by empowering yourself. Empowering yourself means that you be ready. Take on leadership role. And this leadership role, not necessarily at the party, not necessarily at this platform, but right where you came from your house, be a leader. And come out as a leader. And you will step into leadership role thereafter. The last things that I just wanted to touch also in brief is about the experience. Yes, in most institutions, experience are always asked. But there's no school of experience, we all know this. So the best that we can do as a young people is that let's get involved in any activities, whether being community-based activities, political activities. This will give you the platform to suppress, and people will come to know you. So that tomorrow, if you had an opportunity to knock somebody's door, somebody somewhere have already known you of your activities that you have done. So let's not only be big into our certificates, let's not be big with the master's degree, whatsoever we have in our hand at the moment, but let's look at the small things that can make us recognized. I think that's what I can say for you.
Thank you very much. Then let's let General D give his final remarks.
Thank you very much for the patience and being here. I would end by saying this. We are all developing. The nation is developing. As individuals, we are developing. The most important thing is when one avenue is not moving, you create a path. It's just like back in the village. When you walk and you find that the footpath has closed up, you don't stop going where you're going. So long as you know where the goal is or which village you're going to, you will create a path along the way. And this is the same thing I would say today. As young people, there might be a lot, whether in terms of security, politics, or economics, that is pulling us back. But that should not stop us from moving forward. And I would encourage all of us, it's not a competition amongst ourselves. It's competition between us and the world, us and extinction. Because if you're hungry today, it said an hungry man is an angry man, isn't it? So the moment we don't solve our hunger problems, our anger issues will always get in the way. And these communal fights, internal fights, political fights, they will continue. But this is not what we should do. As young people, whether we are from Equatoria, Barikazal, or Upper Nile, we need to collaborate instead of compete. If you have an opportunity, call your brother. If you are starting a farm and you are in Equatoria and you have a piece of land and you know there is somebody who can help you from Upper Nile or from here, call them. If you're from another region, the same thing. Let us collaborate. Because dark days are ahead. I'm not a prophet, huh? Okay? But let's face it, 2 years. And with the level of change we have been witnessing in the last few days, especially the security sector, should be a concern. What will the country be like in the next few weeks, months, year? It would require us to work together as young people. Because if it goes amok, it will start with us. They will run to Nairobi, they will run to Kenya, they will run to Uganda, they will run to South Africa, and who will remain fighting? Think about that.
All right, thank you very much, Gerald. Can we clap for them? And you mentioned, I wanted to say something, but you already spoke about it. Yeah, you spoke about it. And if you see here right now, you cannot say this is an Equatorian Forum. You cannot say this is Upper Nile or this is Baragazan, because all the three regions are represented here. And this is the unity we want as young people. We come to a forum, we don't care whether you're from Baragazal, Upper Nile, Equatoria, we are all South Sudanese. And this should start as young people like this. Because I will not work alone, and you will never work alone. As you said, tomorrow I'll meet you somewhere where I cannot reach out to anybody else, and it's only you. So we see the reason why we have to coexist together. And I want to emphasize as well what he said. Young people are in a hurry. They get rich quick. It's really something that is destroying most of our young people. You want to get rich today, and young people are doing everything they can to get rich. People get into corruptions, and now people are getting into very dirty deals at whatever cost. Because you see your neighbor is rich, your friend is succeeding, you also want to succeed. So let's try to, as young people, it takes a struggle. Everything one step at a time. You cannot get rich overnight. We cannot do that. And we have to teach ourselves that nothing comes easy. You have to work for it. Those things that come easy, it might go out very fast. It might ruin your life as well. So this is something that we have to focus on it as well. So I want to appreciate everyone for coming, and it shouldn't be your last time, and it shouldn't be because the minister was coming and yeah, but otherwise I think this has been the best because the minister is not here and we are able to talk to ourselves as well as young people. And of course we always want to bring these other men and women who are in position of power because we want to hold them accountable to the things that they're doing and how they are responding to the needs of young people. At this juncture, I want to say thank you. And if you are leaving, you have to exchange contacts. It's very important. The other week, somebody was saying, no, we met in this show and we got married.